So, first question. How much PSI you pushing through that thing? The answer to that is what is up YouTube? Today going to be talking about the backstory, the history, well, my history with the Mini. Hold on 1 second. So bought this car as my first car towards the end of 2014. Before we start, I'll put up a photo somewhere of the listing pictures of before I bought the car, just so you can get a fair idea of what I've done to it, because I bought it while it was fairly standard. Well, it was stock standard, everything original pretty much, just maintenance done on it, no modifications really, until I got to it and got modifying straight away. So it pretty much turned over every single nut and bolt on this car since I've owned it over the years. First, what did I do to it first when I first got it? I painted the grille. So wasn't happy with the original grille. As you could see in the original photos, it was all too much chrome for my liking, so blacked it out. And yeah, that was a huge improvement to what it was. Swapped out the seats, the original seats in it, because the original seats were the ones that folded forward without any mechanism holding them down at the back. So yeah, if you braked hard enough, your seat will come forward a little bit. And what else did I do? I did the seat belts. Most Minis, old school Minis, have the manual adjusting seat belts, which just get real annoying. So swap those out for auto retracting ones, which you have in your normal modern car these days. Put a new steering wheel on it. The old original steering wheel was a massive one, which just did not feel nice. So put a smaller diameter steering wheel on it, which makes it a lot more responsive, I guess. Yes, I done those few modifications on it, and then it started breaking down on me like any old car would. So ended up having to fix it and replace things that needed to be replaced rather than upgrade. Well, still upgraded it because the cylinder head on the engine one of the valves went in that. So instead of getting a new valve and putting the original head back on it, we decided to go with a cylinder head off a bigger motor. So put that on, and then that caused a few problems. We had to notch the block to clear the exhaust valves or inlet valves, I can't remember. Bolted it all together, was mint, and then I think it was 2 weeks later, like it was just slowly declining on power. Wasn't sure what it was, thought it was an exhaust leak at first. But yeah, found out later I took the cylinder head off and it had blown the head gasket between 1 and 2. So I thought it was just because we hadn't tightened the head down tight enough. But it turns out it was because the same thing happened another 2 weeks later. Head gasket blew in between cylinders 2 and 3. So knew there was a problem with it, and then found out there was a little dimple in the block where the new cylinder rings sat, because the cylinder rings were slightly bigger on the new head than the original one. So it wasn't a problem with the old head, but it was a problem with the new head where the cylinder rings, the compression rings on the block sat, so it was just blowing holes through the gasket. Instead of putting the old cylinder head on with new valves, we're still committed, so we pulled out the whole motor and rebuilt it. Pretty sure we ran into heating issues after that because it was now running hotter, and yeah, it wasn't getting enough cooling. And then so we went to a 1275, like a bigger radiator, and then that fixed that while on the open roads. But then when I came to the stationary at the lights, it started overheating again, so I had to remove the old mechanical driven fan and then fit an electrical fan, so then we were still getting enough airflow through the radiator while stopped at the lights. Oh, by that time I'm pretty sure, no, it was before all the motor work we put new wheels on it because they were just pizza cutters kind of thing originally. And then yeah, went to a slightly wider one, not these ones, a slightly skinnier one than these ones and slightly smaller diameter than these ones. I think shortly after that all the work started with it. All the major work with it started. So we bought the 13x7, the new wheels that are sitting on it at the moment. Bought those for it. I put them all on. Shortly after putting the wheels on, it was due a waff, and then the brakes just had failed. Like it was I think it was like $600 quote to redo the brakes, which they were pretty much going to have to rehaul the whole brakes. Decided after that to redo the whole brake setup. So bought all new parts, bought a disc conversion kit for the front. So because drums all around, if you know cars, it's not a recipe to stop quickly. So bought a conversion kit for the front, bought new drums, shoes, slave cylinders, what else? New springs, new handbrake cables, new rubber covers. Like pretty much the whole brake system in this thing is brand new. Also got a new master cylinder, so instead of having one line coming out of the master cylinder for all the brakes, we have two lines coming out of the master cylinder now, which is just a lot better in simple terms. Stops on dime. And then also while we was doing the brakes, we pulled the engine out. There was an oil leak down the back of the motor, and the brakes, where the brake lines sit kind of thing, it was just easier just to pull the motor out. We cleaned up the firewall, like there was heaps of holes and rust and that sort of stuff in the firewall. And where the carburetor carburetor kind of sits inside the car. So cleaned that all up. We originally had a bracket made up for it, and then modified that, cleaned it all up, gave it a paint, done all the wiring. So all the wiring was all sketchy. Well, not sketchy, it was 45 years old at that time, I'm pretty sure. 43 years old by that time, so it was just getting all old and rubbishy and starting to have more and more problems. So done a whole new wiring loom, rerouted where all the wires went, so it was cleaner, looked cleaner and tidier. Put it all back together, tested everything, got it going again, got it a waff, and it passed. Like after doing all that stuff to it, it passed first go. Got it back on the road, all modified. That's what else we did. We had to do new flares for it and cut out more of the guard than originally anticipated because of the new disc brakes set the wheels out wider, which then they hit the original guard, so we got the angle grinder out and dealt to that. Made up some temporary flares for the front, which are still there temporarily. And then after that, had more fueling issues. So the carburetor, the Weber that I bought, can't quite remember what it was, but that's right, bearings had collapsed inside of it. So when I bought it, I bought a old one that had been refurbished for like $500. Then I got it all tuned and fitted, and that was another $500. So that one cost me about $1,000 to do. And then yeah, it turns out I didn't get much. Like I probably got 1,000 Ks on that carburetor, and yeah, it turns out it was not the best. So yeah, bearings had collapsed in it. It wasn't fueling right, so decided to buy a new carburetor. Pretty much the same as that what was on it, but it was a Chinese made one this time. Chinese made replica of the original one, which was 500, I think it was, no, $700 completely with everything. So it was just a bolt on, and yeah, it's still going strong. So the Chinese made replica is going stronger than the original one was. So the genuine one. So yeah, and now we're pretty much up to date with that's pretty much a summary. Like we've had so much more done in that, because also while doing the brakes on it, the brakes and wiring and that sort of stuff, we also redone the bought all new suspension components for it, all adjustable camber, caster, toe in the rear. We done all that, refurbished the rear trailing arms. Yeah. So it handles how I want it to, stops how I want it to, and has enough power for now for what I want it to do. I'll do another video on it about explaining the plans for it over the next year or so, because I've got some good plans. So put up a Q&A on my Instagram a couple of days ago for you guys to see if you had any questions about this bad boy, about the Mini. And yeah, got a few, so I'll answer them now. So first question: how much PSI you pushing through that thing? The answer to that is none. And I don't have any ambitions to turbocharging it, because I want to keep it simple. The simpler I can keep it, the less is going to go wrong with it, I guess. So if you add a turbocharger to it, it's just more things to go wrong with it. So the answer to that is none. Next question: is it reliable? Yep, very reliable. Is it lowered? No, standard height. But everything else in terms of suspension work, as I said, is fully adjustable. So that answers that. How you can drive your car. So how can you drive your car? I have pedal extensions on the pedals, and I have a cushion that sits behind me to push me forward, so I'm closer to the steering wheel, and I'll put a picture up just showing you the pedals. Is it straight? Yep, straight with a little bit of rust. And that's all the questions. Nice and simple. If you guys enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, bell button, all that good stuff. And we'll see you in the next one. The next one might be a... what what should we do? Might be a grocery haul, grocery shop. Well, stay tuned for the next one.